What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. Crazy weekend as far as the news cycle is concerned. I have a ton of stories to share with you. All kinds of things have happened, but it's a little bit late on my end, so we're going to have to do things a little bit different today. We are going to have to do this the old-fashioned way, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have to do this live. So I've never done this before. I've never done it live, so you're just going to have to bear with me. I feel it's important that you hear some of these stories and some of these events happening around our nation right now. So instead of me not doing a show at all, I'm just going to go ahead and wing this one and do it live. So just bear with me, and then we're going to get through this together. So here we go.
We'll do it live. No. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
You're listening to The Stephen Torriello Show, building a platform of liberty for people in search of truth with a dash of hope and a life worth living. The Stephen Torriello Show. And you never know where Stephen may go. And now, here's Stephen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. We are doing the show live. I have a ton of stories to get to in just an hour or maybe a little bit over an hour. I've never done this live before, so you're just going to have to bear with me. But I want to start out with this Outkick article dated May 1st, hat tip to Zach Dean. It goes into the Bud Light sales getting worse by the week as Miller Coors take off. So that's the story I want to lead off with. Also, I want to get into this whole, the Republicans are getting divided. I'm already starting to see it, folks. So I have an article here where Tomi Lahren, a staunch conservative, a staunch Trump supporter, is essentially saying she wants to support Donald Trump, but she can't support anybody that's not going to win. I keep hearing this narrative. I keep hearing this over and over and over again. And it is a valid narrative, folks. I'm not going to lie. It is valid to have that feeling. I have the same feeling. But I also have a feeling about Ron DeSantis, too. I know what everyone has been saying since the very beginning. Since 2020 and 2022, everybody has been saying the best and only ticket that can beat the Democrats is a Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis ticket. And ladies and gentlemen, I think I found a way to where they can run on the same ticket. I haven't heard anybody talk about this, and a lot of the reason I get is because Ron DeSantis would never be vice president to Donald Trump. I don't know, folks. I don't know. I have no idea why not, especially if you're looking at the polls, which I don't give a whole lot of credit to polls because we all know how those work. They've never been right in the last 6 or 7 years because I don't know what it is. Donald Trump and this whole movement, Republican conservative movement, have completely thrown off the polls. So they're not that accurate. And when you look at the polls, they're not good for Ron DeSantis. They're not good at all as far as getting the nomination. Now, they look great for beating Joe Biden in the general, but I don't know. Ron DeSantis has just as much chance of beating Joe Biden as Donald Trump. So I'm going to take the guy that has been there, done that, and just needs, and only lost by 42,000 votes in 3 or 4 different states. But there is a lot of stuff going on in circulating around this. I'm already seeing Republicans fighting against each other, and we do not need that, folks. So we're going to have to get together, and we're going to have to make like the Democrats, stick together and get through this, and we're going to get through it. I think I found an extremely interesting story all the way back to the year 2000, the Bush v. Gore election. I found some very interesting stuff, folks, very interesting stuff. I verified it, I fact-checked it, and it is indeed true. So that is another thing we're going to get into. And one last story I want to get into is this whole Clarence Thomas, the Democrats targeting the court, trying to delegitimize our Supreme Court. It's very obvious, folks, what they're trying to do. Honestly, I don't even know why they hide it anymore. They just need to come out and say they're totalitarians and they want to control everything, and they're just going to start locking up their opponents. I don't know why they just don't come out and say it. Why are they pretending? Why pretend to be commies? Just come out and say it, and because we already all know it already. We could see it. You go after your political opponents, you weaponize the justice system, you try and delegitimize our court system. That's what they do. Everybody sees this for what it is. And so this is something extremely concerning to me. And so this is an article we definitely need to get into, because this is a saga that's going to be happening. This is going to be front and center for a while, because this is a big story. This has never happened before. We've never had a political party. We've had political parties, always Democrats, targeting the Supreme Court. Okay, but we've never had it like this. This is very weird. They're actually targeting specific conservative members like Clarence Thomas, and you know how they treated Brett Kavanaugh. And so this is what I'm talking about, folks. We have a political party that has turned into a bunch of fascists, a bunch of fascist Marxists, man. All the names in the book: totalitarians, authoritarians, fascists, Marxists, whatever you want to call it. But all of it ends up leading to communism. And so I call them a bunch of commies. So that's one of the last stories we're going to get into. I feel like all three of these are extremely important, and all of them have a very specific message in their story. There's a reason why I picked these stories. So without further ado, let's get into the very first one. Bud Light sales continue to sink like a brick as the Dylan Mulvaney fallout nears its 1-month anniversary. Congrats to the happy couple. It's funny, man. Outkick, if you weren't aware, is actually Clay Travis's old website. It's a forum that he built, and then I think he sold it to Fox, and now he has the Clay Travis Buck Sexton show on the radio that replaced Rush Limbaugh. He's great, man. Great. And their radio show is great too. The Buck Sexton Clay Travis show is great. Or is it Clay Travis and Buck Sexton? I don't really know. But anyways, let's get back to this article. The latest numbers are in, and the folks over at Anheuser-Busch may want to look away. According to Beer Business Daily, Bud Light's off-premise sales volume, the amount of beer sold outside of restaurants and bars, was down, get this folks, 26.1% from a year earlier in the week ending in April 22. Whoa, that is a lot. There is obviously, so the Republicans and conservatives have obviously sent a strong message over there to Anheuser-Busch. And that's exactly what all this is about, folks. This is about sending a message to these corporations that think they can adopt this ESG, DEI, BS woke garbage, and us just have to, we don't have to accept it anymore. We don't have to. This is a big indication of a parallel economy. This is a strong sign that the conservative Republicans are really starting to form their own parallel economy, and that is great. And essentially, what it is, and I never was for boycotts because I always felt like it was the workers that suffered the most for boycotts, but there's just no other way, folks. There's just no other way. We're going to take the Democrats' lead on this, and we're going to do the same thing Democrats do. We're going to use the Democrat tactic. We're going to put our money where our mouths are, and we're going to boycott these businesses that want to push this stuff onto our country, onto our kids, onto our families, and so on and so forth. It's time Republicans grew some balls, and by the looks of it, they have, because 26.1%, that is brutal. Okay, here we go with the rest of the article. That's even worse than the 21.1% decrease from the week prior. Bud Light numbers are now down 8% this year. Those above figures include sales at grocery stores, convenience stores, and liquor stores. Whoa. Bud Light sales down nearly 30% as Miller Lite and Coors Light go up. Don't Hold Back Beer Business Daily made a comment saying, sheesh, never a great way to start your week when you read beer experts call this the most dramatic shirt in national share they've ever seen. But hey, maybe all beer sales are down, right? Could be. It ain't a great economy, you know. Just kidding. The same report paints a much greener picture for the folks over at Miller Lite and Coors. The trade publication and data provider noted that Coors Light volume was up 13.3% in the third week of April, while Miller Lite volume rose 13.6%. Again, not great. The plummeting numbers come just days after Anheuser-Busch essentially held an all-hand meeting to try and steady the ship. Reports last week indicate that Bud Light was planning a massive marketing blitz to combat misinformation in the wake of the Dylan Mulvaney partnership, while also vowing to have a better screening process for future projects. Apparently, that started after the beer chain's newest commercial, which debuted during Thursday's NFL draft and was widely panned for its obvious 180-degree shift. Can't wait to see what's next. Yeah, so that commercial they came out with after the whole Mulvaney commercial, that was awful. They would have been better off just not doing anything, man. I mean, they went so over the top with that commercial and just drowned us in patriotism and Americanism. And I mean, my Lord, man, it was so over the top. It was almost offensive. Like it almost offended my intelligence, man. So like with the Clydesdales and the American flag and the waves of wheat fields, and I mean, just so over the top. Like I said, they would have been better off not doing anything. And I've said this before, Bud Light has a big problem, or Anheuser-Busch, for the simple fact that the beer's not that good. I mean, trust me, Anheuser-Busch needs the people a lot more than the people need their beer. Their beer's just not that good. Honestly. And I'm not even a drinker. I'm not even a huge drinker. I drink maybe once a year. I used to be a heavy drinker, but not anymore. And even when I was a drinker, I never drank their beer. I never drank beer. I like some craft beer, but other than that, I drink to get drunk. So, I mean, I just can't sit there and pound 12 beers. And it's not even, like they say, you got to get through the first one and then the rest are easy. But I don't even like putting myself through that. Their beer's just not that good. I'd rather just give me some Tito's vodka, some club soda with a dash of Sprite, and then you got yourself a drink there. Liquor gets it done quicker. So that is a problem that Anheuser-Busch has. It's just not that good of beer. And personally, I think a lot of people were buying Busch products for the simple fact that it's part of our culture. It's a huge part of our culture. I mean, people grew up with their dads drinking Budweiser, and then Bud Light came out later, but people grew up. It's just such a big part of our culture. And I think that's why everyone was such in a shock. I mean, really, honestly, you could probably boil it all down to bad timing. It was awful timing for Anheuser-Busch to release this commercial, to do this whole marketing campaign with Mulvaney, for the simple fact that you just had that Texas shooting, or you just had that Nashville shooting, all the trans stuff and all the schools. I mean, they are just submerging people in this transgenderism stuff, this woke transgender BS stuff. And people at that time when Anheuser-Busch released the commercial, people had enough. Like, people had it up to here with all the crap, dude. And then Anheuser-Busch comes around the corner and just gets smacked right in the face. And so it was just really bad timing, and it pissed people off. You've seen people going in the stores, throwing cases of beer on the floor. I mean, it was insane what was happening. I mean, it triggered something that, like, I've never seen before. And apparently it's not losing any steam. So usually Republicans and conservatives, after a couple weeks, 3 weeks, it kind of wears off. And then, the United States, the population in America has a very short attention span. And so after a few weeks, people just go back to normal buying their beer again. I remember actually a couple of days after this happened, the whole boycott thing, there was tons of marketing managers and professionals that came out and said, yeah, this will blow over. They'll be right back to their normal self in no time. No, folks, this is something totally different. I've never seen anything like this before. It's almost like it was original. It happened organically. Like it was just something different. It wasn't any part of movement or anything like that. Literally everybody just had enough of this crap all at once, and it all landed on Anheuser-Busch, dude. So a part of me actually feels bad. Because like I said, Anheuser-Busch has been such a part of American history and American culture for so long. It's, but look, Republicans and conservatives have had enough, man. So they're putting their money where their mouth is, and they're buying beer from somewhere else that doesn't offend them. They're buying beer from somewhere else that doesn't want this woke crap, man. I mean, really, the beer. Why, out of all things, you have to put it in our beer? Like, to make a political statement and use beer, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I think how they stated they're going to start screening their marketing managers better, that's a good start. I mean, because this chick had no remorse. I mean, she went full-fledged right into it. She said this was a great idea and she wouldn't change anything. And so, yeah, they definitely need to be screening these people a little bit better. I mean, after that fiasco, people need to be fired. I'm pretty sure she was put on leave and a couple other people were fired, but I'm not really sure. They should all be fired, technically. With that kind of, I think it lost them like $9 billion or $8 billion or something. That's insane. Insane off of one commercial. And then, like I said, they came out with that second one, and then it was just as bad. Not as far as the message it was sending, but it sent a completely different message. Like, oh, you guys are stupid. You'll never notice. Just listen to this commercial, and this will make it all better. It was just awful. It was over the top. It was, I think they just thought they can get out of this easy, and they didn't. And honestly, personally, I don't think Anheuser-Busch is ever going to recover from this, ever. And so they have a lot of work to do. So prepare for Bud Light to be on everything. Bud Light is going to be everywhere you look. Everywhere you turn your head, you're going to see Bud Light signs. You're going to see Budweiser. You're going to see Anheuser-Busch marketing at its max. I think I read somewhere they're investing like $25 million or something crazy, $100 million just in marketing to try and bring this back. And I just don't think it's going to work. And so, like I said, Bud Light's got some serious problems. Or Anheuser-Busch, I should say, has some serious problems. So that's that story. I think that's good. Personally, I say stick with it. Republicans and conservatives, stick with it. Do not give an inch. There's plenty of other beer to buy out there. They all taste like crap. I'm just joking. There's some good beer out there. I just don't like beer, man. I just don't like it. Call me a pansy, whatever. I never liked beer. Never did. I used to have to struggle just getting through the first one because it's just so gross, man. It's like the last thing I want to drink. So I'll drink the first one just to get through it, and then I'm smooth sailing after that. Because like I said, I drink to get drunk, or I used to drink to get drunk. Now, not so much anymore. So on to the next article. This is, and that kind of segues me into this next article, where I'm asking Republicans and conservatives to stay united and stay strong and don't give an inch when it comes to Anheuser-Busch. I'm asking you to do the same thing when it comes to the 2024 election, folks. We have to win this election. If we do not win, this country is screwed. It is over. It cannot take 6 more years of this. It cannot. You might as well just light a match and burn the whole thing down if these people win again in 2024. And I just don't like some of the comments I'm seeing from supposedly staunch conservatives. Maybe they're a little bit too staunch. I don't know. Maybe they're a little bit too conservative or too Republican. I don't know. But also, Trump loyalists, they're not innocent in all this either. So you have essentially the Republican Party is doing exactly what I knew it was going to do, and it's starting to split up. You're starting to see Trump supporters and Trump loyalists hate DeSantis and hate DeSantis voters, which is weird, again, because he hasn't even announced he's running yet, folks. Hasn't even announced, and people are already targeting him. This is concerning to me because I was listening to... what's his name? Ryan Gerdusky, I think his name is. Brian Gerdusky. I can't remember who it is. He was doing an interview with Buck Sexton talking about the polls and the numbers in the Republican Party. And I'll be honest with you, folks, it's not good. It's not good. It's actually quite depressing because essentially what it's saying is Donald Trump can't beat Joe Biden because Donald Trump is hated too much by the left. So many people hate Donald Trump that they would vote for Joe Biden. This is like, I've been saying this from day one. This is an election for the independents. Independents are going to be deciding this election, and it hasn't changed. So the problem is Donald Trump is just hated by too many people. Ron DeSantis, his campaign just isn't there. I mean, he's not doing what he should be doing if he's planning on running for president. That's perfectly clear. Like, I don't really know what's going on because he's going to places like Japan. So it seems like he's trying to kick off a presidential campaign by showing some foreign influence and how, his policies, his foreign policy procedures and his foreign policy posture. But his campaign on paper isn't there, folks. And that's just like what Gerdusky was saying. It's so weird how we are stuck in this position to where we got one guy, Donald Trump, who is an absolute beast, that had a great presidency, is great, but he's just hated by too many leftists and too many independents. Not the leftists are always going to hate him, but he's not liked by the independents, and independents are going to be the ones deciding this election. Ron DeSantis has the independents, but he's not going to have either the Trump loyalists or he's not going to have the campaign. He just doesn't have a strong campaign. They're just not doing what they should be doing. And I'm sorry, folks, but Florida Free is not going to win a national election. It's just not. So, we have some issues. And it's got some we got some stuff to figure out. Luckily, ladies and gentlemen, it's early. It's early. Donald Trump has already kicked off a massive presidential campaign. You could see this. I am a Trump supporter through and through. I voted for him twice. The first time I've ever voted Republican was for Donald Trump, and I would vote for him again in a heartbeat. Same for DeSantis. I'll vote for either one. So anyways, I want to start with this article here. It's from Raw Story. Hat tip to Tom Bagaoni. I don't even know how to pronounce this dude's name. Anyways, Raw Story is an extreme leftist website. But if you guys, I know it's hard for you and you just can't do it, but I read the leftists' playbook because that's how I know what these people are thinking. This is what separates conservatives from leftists, is leftists never study under us. They never look at what they're doing. They never try to understand what we're doing. They never try to understand what we're doing. It's different for conservatives. I look at their stuff because I want to know what they're thinking. I want to study under them. I want to study them. I want to see what they're doing, what they're saying, what their tactics are, what their plans are. And the only way to do that, the only way to get a feel for what they're saying and doing is by reading their media, is by consuming the same media they consume. They do not consume our media. That is why it feels like we're living in two completely different worlds, is because we know everything about them. They don't know everything about us. They don't know anything about us. That's what makes us different between leftists and Republicans. So I have an article here from Raw Story titled, "I Would Be Stupid to Stick with Trump If He Can't Win. Conservative influencer Tomi Lahren." That was her statement. This is the kind of stuff that bugs me. But it's okay. I know I was negative Ned, but I'm telling you, I'm going to make it up to you. Just hang in there with me. With an eye on the 2024 election, young conservative influencers are trying to get a handle on how to reach out to their increasingly alienated generation and pull them back to the Republican Party. Folks, I don't like the Republican Party. I'm sorry. I just don't. I don't like Mitch McConnell. I don't like Kevin McCarthy for now. Yeah, I don't like Lindsey Graham. I don't like Mitt Romney. I don't like any of them. I don't like Paul Ryan. These people are frauds. They are frauds. And I'm sorry, but if I have to relinquish my integrity and my dignity because I don't think Donald Trump can win, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. These people, the Republicans, are rhinos. They're frauds, man. They're scumbags. They're exactly why we're in this position we're in right now, and I'll be damned if I'm going to just turn around and vote for them again. Not going to do it. I'll be damned if I'm going to leave the Democrat Party, become politically homeless for 4 years, 6 years, or however long it was, go through all that crap, vote for a Republican, finally, Donald Trump, win, get an amazing 4 years, not perfect 4 years. I get a lot of the stuff, a lot of these DeSantis, a lot of people like Tommy Loren, these conservatives that are leaving Donald Trump and ditching Donald Trump are saying, oh, Donald Trump didn't have that good of a presidency anyways. Donald Trump didn't get a... Folks, where the hell were these people 6 months ago? Where were these people 2 years ago? That's what I'm saying. They're grifters, man. They are grifting. They're ditching early. They're bailing ship because they think Donald Trump can't win. These people are no better than Mitt Romney and Mitch McConnell and all of them. I get the incentive to wanting to ditch Donald Trump because it's the only way you think you can win. But what if it's not the only way you can win? Okay? What if it's not the only way you can win? And I'm going to explain to you here in a minute what I'm talking about. We have to stick together. And these conservatives that are ditching on Donald Trump because they don't think he can win for whatever reason, and they think someone else can win, like the Democrats just aren't going to go after the other person, or independents are going to vote for whoever else it is, whether it's Ron DeSantis or, Sununu or Chris Christie or Pompeo. If you think independents are going to vote for a rhino, no. No, they're not, folks. No, they are not. So you're in the same boat. But I have a solution. And I'm telling you, this is insane. It is extremely interesting. And you're just going to have to, just hang in there. And we're going to talk about it. Just let's finish this. I want you to hear what Tommy Loren has to say. In interviews with Newsweek, the young conservatives admitted they are struggling with more than a few, saying that they aren't getting the help from Republicans they need to back up their messages. Speaking with Newsweek's Catherine Fung, conservative commentator and Outkick podcaster Tommy Loren, who built her reputation as a staunch defender of Donald Trump, said she is worried about 2024, particularly following reports that Joe Biden's digital strategy team is working hand-in-hand with liberal influencers to reach out to more young voters. Quote, if we want to win the 2024 election, we're going to have to understand what our best chances of actually winning are and be honest. Is what we're influencing about winning an election or about what I call personal grifting, she complained. Lauren added that as much as she loves Trump, she's afraid he has become unelectable, a common refrain heard from Republicans, and that conservatives as a group need to coalesce around a single message. No, we don't. I'm sorry, but that single message does not need to be vote for a rhino. Okay? I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. I am not cowering. I am not surrendering my dignity and my principles. Everything I've been saying the last 6 years about the Rhino Party, just so I can vote for them again and then lose anyways? I don't think so, folks. You're not going to win with the Rhino any more than you're going to win with Donald Trump, period. I'm sorry, that's just not the case. Sitting here trying to say that you're going to win because you vote for Ron DeSantis, that's just crazy, folks. You're essentially starting all over again. All over again. You got a guy, Donald Trump, who got 64 million votes one election. Then next election got 75 plus million votes. And then you want to drop them like it's hot and then go to somebody that you don't even, it's a governor that's been governor for 4 years. Granted, he's been an ass kicker, dude. DeSantis is a true leader, man. This guy is the best governor ever. And I would love to see him run. But most of all, I would love to see him run with Donald Trump. Everybody's been saying this from the very beginning. A Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis ticket would be unbeatable. And they are right. It would be unbeatable. Absolutely. I don't care who you ran. A Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis ticket would be unbeatable. And the reason why I say that is Donald Trump has his loyalists. Okay? He has his base. He has his donors. He's got a ton. He's got 75 million people. Let's just say that. He's got 75 million people, if not more. That we're just going off of 2020. I'm sorry, folks. I just don't see anybody not voting for Trump that didn't vote for him in 2020. In fact, I think the list has actually grown quite a bit. And that list of people will look like the people that are tired of living in misery and anguish and squalor right now under the Biden administration. They're going to plug their nose and they're going to pull that lever for Donald Trump. How many people that is, how long does that list look like? I don't know. But it's definitely a significant amount of people. Now, they'll say that Democrats are having college voters, young voters and suburban moms and suburban white women. Okay, I'll give you that. But you also have conservatives in colleges. Now, they automatically assume that every single college student is a liberal. Granted, there's a lot of them. I think they probably outweigh the conservatives by far. Obviously, we see it all on TikTok. We see it on the internet. But still, you're talking about, so that would mean Joe Biden would have to retain all his votes, okay? He would have to retain all his votes, which means nobody in the Democrat Party is willing to leave Joe Biden and just not vote at all. I'm not saying they would have to vote for Donald Trump. I'm not saying that. All they have to do is just not vote for Joe Biden. So you mean to tell me Joe Biden hasn't lost any constituents? He hasn't lost any voters? Of course he has. Probably by the millions, folks. I know tons of them. They're done. Now, they didn't say they'd vote for Donald Trump, but they said they won't vote for Joe Biden again. And so there you go. So you got already a close race with just Donald Trump, okay? Donald Trump only lost by like 42,000 votes in 3 or 4 different states. It's not like he lost by a landslide. That's what these people are acting like. They're acting like Donald Trump just got wrecked in the election in 2020. He did not. He did not. In fact, if they didn't rig the election, then he would have won. I'm not saying he did win. I'm saying he could have won. It is a fact now that 51 former intel agents signed that letter, a letter that we now know based off of polling won Joe Biden the election. A letter that because they lied about it, people didn't know the truth. And now we know 17% of Democrats wouldn't have voted for Joe Biden if they knew about that letter. And so there you go, folks. They know about it now. In fact, they know all about Joe Biden's family's corruption. They know all about the Biden Inc. corruption now. And so there you go. Joe Biden is going to lose a crap ton of voters, folks. I do not see anybody rushing out of their house with their pants on fire and crawling over broken glass and fire to pull the lever for Joe Biden. The Trump haters, obviously, yes. But I'm telling you, folks, the amount of damage this man has done and the pain he's put people through and the complete totalitarianism with the vaccine mandates and the mask mandates and the lies, all these mandates he said he wasn't going to do, and then he turns around and does after he wins the election. People see this stuff. So I absolutely do think Donald Trump could beat Joe Biden in an election. Okay, I'm not a pollster, so I don't know. I don't know all these numbers. What's his name? Gerdusky, great dude, conservative, big Trump voter. He was just really depressing today listening to that interview because he essentially said Republicans are screwed no matter what. DeSantis is running a crap campaign and Donald Trump is just unlikable. People hate him too much. And okay, all right, I get that. But nobody is talking about Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis running together. Folks, I'm telling you, you know it and I know it, that a Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis ticket would blow anything out of the water. It would certainly destroy Joe Biden. And even if he runs with Kamala, that's even better. If he picks someone else, okay. But I don't know. I mean, Kamala's just so unlikable. I don't think he's going to pick her as VP. Because, I mean, the guy's old, folks. He's old, man. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, they're saying he might not even make it through another term. I mean, that's sad, but you know what? Shame on his family for allowing him to do this, and shame on the Democrat Party for putting him forward. I don't care about Donald Trump's age. You look at that guy, he's not lost a step. He hasn't skipped a beat, man. I look at Joe Biden and I see a nursing home patient. So it's like a huge difference, and I'm not the only one that notices that. Democrats notice it too. 70% of Democrats say they don't want Joe Biden to rerun. They don't want Joe Biden running for election. What does that tell you? That's a huge number, folks. Now, I'm not saying they wouldn't vote for Joe Biden, That doesn't say they would leave Joe Biden. That doesn't say they would vote for Donald Trump. It just says they don't want him to run. But I'm telling you, folks, when it comes down to it, Donald Trump, I think, could at least tie Joe Biden. Well, what if we add Ron DeSantis in that picture? What if we add a Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump ticket? That's Donald Trump for 1 term, Ron DeSantis for essentially 8 years, 2 terms. That's 12 years of conservatism. That is 12 years of constitutional norms, 12 years of fixing this disaster. It can be done, folks. And I haven't heard anybody talking about this. But I dug into this because I'm like, wait a minute. Everyone keeps saying they can't run on the same ticket. Everyone keeps saying that Ron DeSantis won't run on the same ticket. Okay, well, that's Ron DeSantis. That's what he says. But I'm telling you, folks, if I know this, then they have to know it. If I know this, a podcaster, a lonely podcaster, knows that a Ron DeSantis Donald Trump ticket would decimate all. They have to know it too. If we know it, they have to know it. Okay? And honestly, everyone says, well, Ron DeSantis wouldn't be caught dead working under Donald Trump. Are you sitting there to tell me the guy's going to pass up on a vice presidency? I don't think so, folks. I don't think so. I'm sorry. Because that puts him much closer. And even he knows running as VP under Trump and getting this country back in order is going to fix this country, is going to get him 2 years in the White House. I guarantee it. But the problem is everybody's like, well, can they even run together? No one even talks about this. This is so bizarre. I haven't heard Fox talk about it. I haven't heard of any conservative commentators talk about it. I haven't heard of podcasters, any radio hosts. Everybody is suggesting that this won't even happen. Like it's impossible. Like it can't be done. Which is weird to me because it's like, this is obvious. Like this is an obvious shoo-in. And so I have an article here. I dug into this, and I found something extremely interesting. You guys ready for this? All right, hang on. Let me get my stuff together here, man. I guess I kind of should have had this together. All right, so this is extremely interesting, folks. Listen to this. So this is an article from history.com, dated July 12th, 2016. Okay, hat tip to Sarah Pruitt. There are many misconceptions about the rules of a president choosing their running mate. There's no law or regulation against a president and vice president of the United States being from the same state. The reason why some people mistakenly believe such a prohibition exists comes down to a particular aspect of the Electoral College system laid out in Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution. Article 2 states, quote, "The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for 2 persons, of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves." Okay, that sounds pretty self-explanatory. Under the original system, electors did not distinguish between candidates for the nation's 2 top offices. The candidate with the most votes became president, while the runner-up became vice president. The 12th Amendment, adopted in 1804 after 2 chaotic elections, mandated that electors cast separate ballots for president and vice president. However, the rule preventing an elector from voting for 2 people from his home state remained in effect under the new system. So you're probably like, damn, that sucks. I mean, so that just proves it right there. But wait a minute. In most elections, this quirk in the system wouldn't even matter. In 2008, Barack Obama could have chosen a running mate from his home state of Illinois in either 2008 or 2012 with no adverse effect. The same goes for Ronald Reagan in 1980 or 84, George H.W. Bush in 1988, and Bill Clinton in 92 or 96. But if an election turns out to be particularly close, the rule could potentially come into play. And, check this out, folks, here it is. It almost did in the notoriously contentious election of 2000, when Texas Governor George W. Bush chose Dick Cheney as his running mate on the Republican ticket. Here we go. Cheney had been living and voting and paying taxes for 5 years in Texas shortly before the election. However, Cheney obtained a Wyoming driver's license and put his Dallas home on the market. he had a vacation home in Wyoming, which is the state he had formerly represented in the United States Congress. Good thing for him he did. The Bush-Cheney ticket ended up winning 271 electoral votes, just a slim 5-vote margin over Al Gore and Joe Lieberman. A total they certainly wouldn't have hit without Texas's 32 votes. Boom. There it is, folks. It's right there. George W. Bush and Dick Cheney were from the same state. Dick Cheney left when they announced he was going to be on the same ticket as George W. Bush and sold and put his home on the market and went to Wyoming and got a Wyoming driver's license. And they won the presidency. So this right here already establishes president. It's already been done before. Who owns a home in New York City? Donald J. Trump. Donald Trump owns a penthouse in New York City. Donald Trump owns many properties in New York City, just like Dick Cheney owned a vacation home in Wyoming. Ladies and gentlemen, could this be the tactic Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis are working on right now? Think about it. Ron DeSanctimonious doesn't even make sense. It's weak. It is weak. I've heard Donald Trump destroy people's entire careers in one sentence. And he comes up with Ron DeSanctimonious. And then look at Ron DeSantis. Won't even really come back. Is talking about, oh, at least I won. This, that. It's child's play, folks. It's child's play. These two aren't going after each other. I'm telling you, folks, I feel it in my gut. These two have a plan. I think these two are going to run together in the 2024 election. I don't know. I can't say for sure. But what you have to expect is that they know and feel the same way we feel. If we know a Trump-DeSantis ticket would decimate all, then they have to know, folks. They have people that get paid millions of dollars. Not to mention, Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis have a connection with their grassroots, that we've never, ever experienced before. Not in my lifetime. They know what their followers want. They know what the grassroots want. And I'm telling you, they know for a fact that them together on the same ticket would win the 2024 election. Just like everybody's saying Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis will never run on the same ticket. First of all, Ron DeSantis is too good for that. He won't do it. Okay, he's too power, he wants to be wearing the pants, and Donald Trump, he's going to win the nomination. As of right now, he's absolutely wrecking Ron DeSantis in the polls for the primaries. But what you have to understand is, if these two guys say that the United States of America is on the brink of collapse if we do not get Joe Biden and the Democrats out of power, then don't you think they'd be willing to put their feelings aside, to put their differences aside, to save this country? If they really did think that this country was on the brink of collapse, if Democrats were not removed from the White House, if Democrats were not removed from power, if they really did believe that, then they should be able to set their differences aside, come together, and save this country. And ladies and gentlemen, the president has already been set. This has been done before in the year 2000 in the Bush v. Gore election. Dick Cheney and George W. Bush were both from Texas. Dick Cheney had a home in Wyoming. Donald Trump has a home in New York. I don't know, folks. I'm just saying, this is something extremely interesting, and I don't hear anybody talking about it, and I figured I did all this work today. I've actually been working on it for a couple days, and this is history.com, and here's from PolitiFact. This is all the way back back in 2015 with Marco Rubio. Says the same thing. So from PolitiFact, the president and vice president can't be from the same state. False. That is from PolitiFact. And Neither the Constitution nor the Electoral College prevents Bush from picking a fellow Floridian or any candidate from choosing a running mate from the same state. It just might make things tricky depending on the situation. We'll explain how and why below. So it goes through all this stuff and explains pretty much the same thing I told you. Granted, it gets complicated, but it starts entering into things we've never done before. We've never had a situation like that before. But it has certainly been done before with Cheney and Bush. Absolutely. And Donald Trump already has a place in New York. Okay, so just to make sure, I verified with PolitiFact. So I give you PolitiFact, and I raise you Snopes. Must the president and vice president be from different states? The answer? False. The U.S. Constitution does not bar the election of the president and vice president from the same home state. Boom, folks. This is wild, and I don't hear anybody talking about it. And so I thought that would cheer you up after sitting there reading Tommy Loren, and Rob Smith is another conservative sitting there essentially saying they're bailing on Donald Trump and everyone else should too if they knew it was good for him. But I'm sorry, folks. I think these two men have a plan. I think these two men know they're going to run together. But what they're trying to do is they're covering more ground by splitting up. They both know their base. Ron DeSantis has the Never Trumpers. Ron DeSantis has the more rhino establishment donors. That's why he goes to Club for Growth, and Donald Trump goes to CPAC. There you go. They split up. Okay? Ron DeSantis is more likable by independents, okay? And Donald Trump is always going to have his base. Donald Trump's always going to have his loyalists. Both of those two combined have almost every single Republican, conservative, and the independents. Because the independents, as long as Trump and DeSantis can convince the people that DeSantis is going to be running in the next election, and all the independents have to do is just hold their nose and get through Donald Trump for 4 years, then I'm telling you folks, they can win this election in a landslide. They can win it in a landslide. And I think what their tactic is, Ron DeSantis hasn't announced yet. He's got a trash campaign right now. I mean, his campaign is literally doing nothing. He's getting rejected by donors. Donors are leaving him and going to Donald Trump. It's almost as if he's trying to show people that he could be the more adult-like professional one, and he's allowing Donald Trump to keep his side of the saga going. Ron DeSantis is going to places like Japan, UK, so on and so forth, Israel. He is showing people that he can indeed be a leader. He can indeed be a president after Donald Trump. Because then that would explain why his campaign is not doing anything right now. Normally, especially by now, if Donald Trump is already out there with his massive campaign and his war chest, Ron DeSantis should have already been out and rolling and counterpunching. They're not doing any of that, folks. They're not doing any of that. His campaign is not doing anything. He doesn't even have a campaign. But he doesn't have any surrogates going out there speaking on his behalf when he should have by now. And so I really don't know what is going on. So this is the only thing I can think of that would give the Republicans an absolute win in 2024. Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis would have to set their differences aside, come together, and save this country. That's all the American people need. That is it. And I think they know, folks. I think they know what they're doing, and they're waiting for the last minute because of the media. They're waiting for the last minute because they know it is going to blow the media's minds, dude. When they announce that they're running together on the same ticket, the media's heads are going to explode. And if they wait long enough, I don't know what the rules are as far as how long can Donald Trump go without announcing his VP. I don't know what the rules are. But I'm saying they're waiting as long as possible to stifle the media from creating a narrative. Because the media is extremely effective, but the media takes time. They need time to build up a narrative. And I'm telling you, they are not expecting this. And so Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis are going to announce as late as possible and completely throw a grenade into the entire thing, man. And this is going to be biblical. It is going to be the event of a lifetime. This is what I think needs to happen. And this, ladies and gentlemen, could absolutely happen. There's no reason why they couldn't. Like I said, I explained it all. There is no reason why a Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis ticket is impossible. There's no reason why these two can't run together. And so, like I said, the media would have no idea what to do. And by the time they got their narrative set, by the time the spin machine warmed up, it'd be election time. And boom. I'm telling you, folks, this is an ingenious plan. If this is indeed what they're working on, it is ingenious. It is a master plan. Masterful. It is the exact type of plan that the Republicans are going to need to go up against the establishment. People need to remember this election right here. This election is going to be the establishment elite machine against the people. That's what this is. This is the media, the establishment, the Democrat Party, the rhinos, the DC swamp, the uniparty, the bureaucracy, and all of it against the American people. It is a true David and Goliath story, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm telling you, we need a plan just like this. It's a plan just like this that is going to win the 2024 election. I'm telling you, this is masterful. It'll go down in history as one of the biggest jukes ever seen in U.S. history. And we could do it. It can be done. The pieces are there, folks. The pieces are there. There is no reason why they can't do this. Donald Trump, whenever he announces Ron DeSantis, goes immediately to New York, gets a New York driver's license, makes that his permanent address, and then boom, it's done. Just like Dick Cheney did. Just like Bush and Dick Cheney, there would be no reason why they can't do the same thing because there's already precedent established. It's already been done before. So it's like nobody can challenge it. They can try to challenge it, but all you got to say is, well, they allowed it in this situation. Why not this situation? So the precedent's already been set. And there was also a lawsuit. There was a lawsuit filed. That's right. I have an article here. There was actually a lawsuit filed. Democrats tried stopping it, but couldn't stop it. And essentially the court said, yeah, there's essentially nothing you can do because it's not illegal. It essentially says it's not prohibited in the Constitution or the Electoral College system. And so the lawsuit was nothing. They had no standing. It was nothing. There was nothing they could do. So this can be done, folks. This can be done. And their heads will freaking explode if this happens. It would be biblical, folks. Literally, it would be like some stuff people would remember for generations to come. It would be history making. It would probably be talked about for hundreds of years. So, speaking of liberals' heads exploding, I have one last story. The Democrats' latest sham hearing isn't about ethics, it's about destroying their political enemies on the Supreme Court. So what we're witnessing happen in the Supreme Court against Justice Clarence Thomas is obvious. It is obvious that these commies are trying to intimidate and delegitimize our Supreme Court. It is obvious. I don't know how else you could see this. I don't see how you could see this any other way than being a delegitimizing tactic and a targeting operation of conservative SCOTUS judges. So I have an article here from the Federalist dated May 2nd by hat tip to Jordan Boyd. Democrats don't actually care about ethics. If they did, they would have already addressed their own decades-old violations. Senate Democrats' affection for slinging mud at Republican-nominated Supreme Court justices dates back decades. Yet even after years of failed attempts to stifle confirmations and ruin reputations, their campaign to delegitimize the justices and institution as a threat to their unconstitutional agenda continues with a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing focused on ethics. That's exactly what they're trying to do. The absolute goal of these people to come out and point the finger at the other side about being threats to democracy, when these people are literally kicking at the pillars of our democracy, intimidating our Supreme Court justices, and trying to delegitimize our court systems. Like this, I don't know what else is a threat to democracy. How can you get more threatening to democracy than this? So this is just crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. So Democrats claim their concerns about justices, financial disclosure, and ethics practices predate Biden administration. But it wasn't until a string of coordinated recent hit pieces calling conservative-nominated justices' integrity into question that leftist legislators on the Senate Judiciary Committee decided to take action. Politico's Heidi I don't even know who this is. Brabella? I don't even know who the hell this is. We'll just say Politico's Heidi P., who smeared Brett Kavanaugh in 2018, recently painted Justice Neil Gorsuch's real estate, initiated 2 years before confirmation of the Supreme Court, as a picture of corruption. That piece of shoddy investigation was debunked just as easily as ProPublica's attempt to accuse Justice Clarence Thomas of cozying up with a conflict of interest was squashed. To justify their ongoing smear campaign, Democrats brought in congressional witnesses such as Kydrick Payne, who is not only quoted in Politico's Gorsuch smear, but also works for a legal group that asserts on its front page the Supreme Court is, quote, a threat to our democracy. Asserts on its front page the Supreme Court is a threat to our democracy. That's kind of crazy. Well, you know what? Since this episode is already on, since we're already coming up to an hour, Senator Hawley says, I could not have better words myself. He absolutely nails it in this committee. And there's a video on Twitter I want you guys to listen to. It's the only audio clip I have for the show right now. So I want to go ahead and play you Senator Hawley. It's a little long. I think it's like 4 minutes, but it's unedited. So you're just going to have to bear with it. But I think it's very important that you read this because he absolutely nails it. It's almost the only thing you need to hear about the situation, and you'll understand exactly what is going on. Here, take a listen.
We'll deny you security unless you do what we want. Let me say it again. We will deny you security unless you do what we want. We had an assassin come to the home of Justice Kavanaugh and try to murder him. We have had credible threats on the lives of other justices. And now members of this body say, we will deny you security for you, your families, your children, unless you do what we want. Extraordinary. Extraordinary. Judge Mukasey, can I just ask you, longtime distinguished jurist, former attorney general of this country, do you think it's appropriate to threaten the security of justices of the United States and their families in order to get them to comply with the wishes of this body?
No.
Have you heard of something like this being done before?
I have not.
I haven't either. And I have to say, at a time when we have had 3 different credible assassination attempts or threats against justices, we still have people illegally going to the justices' homes to attempt to influence their decisions in cases. No one has been prosecuted for those violations. We have constant threats and danger to their children. We had radicals post publicly the school location of one of the justices' children. And in that context, to say that we will deny them millions of dollars in security funding unless they do what this body wants, I think is the height of irresponsibility.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Just disgusting, man. So they want to take their security away in a time when they're being threatened the most. Folks, if it is not obvious what these people are doing, then I don't know what else to tell you. These people are literally trying to dismantle our Supreme Court. And it's not even a question that's what they're trying to do. You guys remember when Chuck Schumer announced he was going to do this? You remember when he said we're going to release the whirlwinds? I think I have the audio here. Hang on. I recorded this. I made this clip a long time ago. Yeah, right here. Listen to this.
Taking away fundamental rights. I want to tell you, Gorsuch. I want to tell you, Kavanaugh. You have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
Does it get any more clear than that? And besides, why wasn't Schumer punished for that? What if this was the other way around? This is what I'm trying to say, folks. It's like they're sitting there saying that nobody's above the law and that justice is supposed to be applied equally under the law. But it's not. And it's obvious it's not, because we're watching it right in front of us. We're watching them apply the law unequally right in front of our face. So to sit here, it's like they think we're stupid and we can't see this stuff. Well, I'm telling you, Democrats even see this too. Because I remember a couple weeks ago, before this Clarence Thomas thing, even right when this Clarence Thomas thing first popped up, I did a story on this a long time ago. The first day I seen Democrats coming after and starting to come after Clarence Thomas by raising these questions, I already knew what was going to happen, and I called him out early. And Democrats even agreed, yeah, that would be messed up if they tried essentially impeaching Clarence Thomas. Because that's what they want, folks. They hate Clarence Thomas. And not because he's a conservative, it's because he's a black conservative. People need to remember the Democrat Party was the party of the Confederacy. They were racists. They always have been racists. That whole big switch that they tell you all the time is a myth, folks. That is just a myth. These people have not changed one bit. They're the same party today as they were back in the Confederacy. That is it. They haven't changed at all. That entire big switch narrative, that entire myth was created because Democrats are so effective at owning the language. They're so effective at messaging. And that's exactly what they did. And here we go. They hate Clarence Thomas, not because he's conservative. We've always had conservatives. It's because he's a black conservative. They hate this man with a passion. They hate him because in their eyes, black people are supposed to be Democrat. Black people are not supposed to be conservative. They want black people in their place. That's how they think. And no black person should be leaving the Democrat Party. If you don't know whether you're for me or not, then you ain't black. That's what Joe Biden said. That is how these people think. They think because they're Democrats that black people automatically are going to vote for them. Folks, that is racist, man. These people are so racist they can't even see it. It's like they're so used to their racism, they don't even know that they're being racist when they say stupid stuff. And besides, if you go back and you look at all the racist stuff Joe Biden has said, ladies and gentlemen, if they think Donald Trump said racist stuff, which he didn't, there's nothing, the man doesn't have a racist bone in his body, okay? It was all a frickin' lie, just like Democrats do with everything. Joe Biden is a racist. He is a staunch racist. This man does nothing but look at the color of people's skin. I'm telling you, the man is a racist, talking about he doesn't want his kids growing up in a jungle, talking about segregation in schools. He did 4 eulogies for 4 different KKK members. I'm telling you, folks, Joe Biden is indeed the racist. That's what Democrats do. They constantly deflect onto others. They project. And I say it all the time, whatever they accuse their opponents of, they themselves are guilty of doing. And so I have one more audio clip, and I know it's from a guy I do not like, a Republican I can't stand, Lindsey Graham, but he does make a good point. The thing is he's not going to do anything about it. Here, listen to this.
The letter that was received by the committee was not just signed by Justice Roberts, it was signed by all of the judges. All of them have the same concern, not just one. So where do we go and what are we trying to do? I think here's what you're trying to do on the Democratic side. Remember when Senator Schumer went to the court and started yelling at everybody in the court? Not everybody, just pretty much our folks. I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions.
That's a threat.
Awful decisions. We all have been in the boat of getting an outcome in the Supreme Court we didn't like. But the majority leader of the United States Senate went before the court, literally out in front of it, and threatened 2 judges. And Maxine Waters says, you ain't seen nothing yet. Mm-hmm. So we can talk about ethics, and that's great. But we're also going to talk about today of a concentrated effort by the left to delegitimize this court and to cherry pick examples to make a point.
Yep. Absolutely. So if you've never listened to The Verdict, it's Ted Cruz's podcast, an excellent podcast, and I suggest you listen to it. It's great. It's on 3 days a week. It's excellent. Today, he was talking about all the other Supreme Court justices that have got more stuff than Clarence Thomas got. All the other justices like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, how all the stuff, she went on like 3 times more vacations. She accepted like 2 times more gifts, all that stuff. He goes through all that in the show. And so that's exactly the kind of stuff we need. And my next episode is going to be on exactly that. I'm going to do a big chunk of the episode focusing on exactly the corruption and the absolute hypocrisy when it comes to the leftists and trying to delegitimize our courts. I want to do a big chunk of the show just on this entire situation with the Democrats trying to delegitimize the court and coming after Supreme Court justices, because that is just unnecessary, folks. Absolutely unnecessary. And on that note, I want us to reflect on what we talked about today. The theme of the show is Democrats' ideas are awful. They have taken their masks off and they've shown everybody who they are. And when it comes between their ESG and their diversity, equity, inclusion stuff seeping into our corporations and causing corporations to do things they normally wouldn't do, like bringing in people like Dylan Mulvaney to promote for their beer. Beer, folks. That's what all this is about. This is about the government going from corporation to corporation and strong-arming them and threatening them like a bunch of mobsters and telling them if you do not put DEI or incorporate it somewhere into your company, into your brewery, into Anheuser-Busch, then I don't know, we may just start regulating beer a little bit more now. So you may think twice about maybe start being a little bit more inclusive, or maybe there might just be a bill or two we pass bring in a little bit more regulations on the old beer brewing process, huh? What do you think? It'd be a shame for us to start a couple more regulations. It'd be a shame for you to have to cut through a couple more layers of red tape to get your new product out there, wouldn't it? It'd be a shame for the EPA or the FDA to come knocking on the door of Anheuser-Busch. So we wouldn't want that to happen. But hey, we got this new DEI inclusion program. We want more corporations to start getting involved in. So we thought you'd take a look at that. That's exactly what they're doing, folks. They're strong-arming all these corporations to start adopting this stupid DEI stuff, this diversity, equity, inclusion. They are strong-arming corporations and twisting their arm and essentially forcing them to adopt all this crazy woke garbage. Between the ESG and the Biden administration forcing people to invest in woke corporations with through ESG, essentially, that's what it is. So they're taking your 401k and they're investing it in the crappy woke stuff you do not want to be investing in. And that's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. And that's why people need to buy gold. Buy gold. I'm not a sponsor by any kind of gold company. I'm just telling you, as a friend, as somebody that really cares about my listeners, that cares for you, you need to buy tangible assets. It is time to start buying tangible assets. I don't own a lot. In fact, I don't own very much at all. Any kind of precious metal or precious stone, any tangible asset is going to grow in value. And I'm not an investor, so I can't give you investing advice. So don't sue me if you make some bad investment. Don't come after me. I think that's like I think that is a disclaimer I got to give. I'm not even sure what the rules are on that. I don't want the FCC coming to me with lawsuits or canceling my show saying I gave investment advice. I'm just telling you, as a friend, as somebody that cares about you guys, if you're listening to this show, I do care about you guys, and I care what happens to you. I care about your well-being, because, obviously our views must align, and we must agree on a lot of stuff if you're listening to the show. And so I want you to think about tangible assets, precious metals, precious stones, stuff like that. Anything tangible that you can hang on to, even comic books too. Anything tangible like that you want to hold on to, anything that has any value, because I'm telling you, this ESG stuff that they're twisting and strong-arming corporations to start adopting is a freaking disaster, just like everything else. just like everything else. And that's it for today, folks. I didn't have a chance to get into really anything else. There's so much other stuff I could have got into. There was an election integrity bill that Ron DeSantis got through, which is amazing, essentially securing the Florida's elections. That's why he's a true leader, and he is an absolute woke commando. This guy is wokeness's worst nightmare, and that's why I think a Trump DeSantis ticket would be a monster ticket. It would be crazy. It would be insane. It would be next level stuff, man. It would be historical. And also, I don't know if I still don't think they found the Texas shooter. So if you didn't know, there was a shooting in Texas on Friday night where this illegal alien was shooting his rifle out his house, and the neighbors told him to stop because their baby was trying to sleep. And so what does he do? He goes over to the house and he shoots 5 people execution style. Kills 5 of them. There was 10 people in the house. 5 were murdered in cold blood. He flees, and there's now a manhunt in the state of Texas with the $80,000 bounty for whoever can find him. And so my guess is that he's almost certainly went back to Mexico. But the crazy thing is, folks, is he's been deported multiple times. They've had several encounters with this guy. So this could have been completely prevented if it wasn't for our immigration laws and our southern border being just an absolute disaster. And which brings me to another story where the Biden administration is essentially sending the military down to the southern border because Title 42 ends in less than a week. And they supposedly, this is what I read in a story, there's 1 million immigrants at the southern border waiting to come through, waiting for Title 42 to end. And this is going to be insane, folks. You wait till you see the chaos that is going to ensue when Title 42 ends on our southern border. It's going to be crazy. It's going to look like Afghanistan. It's going to look like another Afghanistan debacle. I'm telling you, it's just going to be awful. People are going to get killed. This is what happens when you have an administration that is completely lawless when it comes to the southern border. An administration that's instead of securing the border like they're supposed to, the thing that is their one constitutional fundamental duty is to secure the borders of this nation and protect its people. They are not doing. Instead of securing the border, they're just processing the immigrants faster. That is all. 6 million illegal immigrants have entered into this country already in 2.5 years since the Biden administration took office. That is insane. That is record numbers. That's crazy, folks. This is the kind of stuff that happens, and it's only going to get worse soon. So I just want people to be prepared for that. And like I said, I could go on and on forever with this. I hope you enjoyed the live show. I've never done a live show before. It was actually kind of cool. I actually don't mind it. If I could do it with a little bit less mess ups, I haven't really learned how to flow with the show really well as far as like structuring my shows to where I can go from one subject to the other and transition into each subject and have segue words and segue phrases. I need to learn how to do that a little bit better. But other than that, I think the live show is a lot easier for me. And so maybe we need to do these more often. But, I mean, it's nice having time to edit and get everything sounding good and doing what I need to do, but maybe we should just go this way from now on. I mean, it wasn't that bad. I don't think. I hope. I mean, it wasn't really bad for me as far as preparation-wise. I did almost no prep work. I read a few stories, wrote some topics down, recorded a couple audio clips, and that was it. And so it was almost no prep work, which is great. It cuts back on time. The more time I have, the more content I can do, folks. The whole name of this game is I'm trying to get as many shows as possible. I'm trying to get a show done every single day. The only way I'm going to be able to do that is I'm going to have to be able to start doing live shows. I'm going to have to start doing just like I did tonight. I'm going to have to start doing a little bit of prep work, doing a live show, and then just pushing it out and then starting another one and just doing that every day. And hopefully I can get more than one done a day. So that's all I got. I've been going on long enough. I hope you guys like the show. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like a live show better, if you like the edited shows better. Let me know what you think. You can get a hold of me at StephenTauriello@gmail.com. That's Stephen with the V, Tauriello @gmail.com. Let me know what you think. please, if you could share the show with your friends and family, I would really appreciate it. It really helps. It helps the show out. It helps the show's numbers. It helps get the show out there. It definitely helps the algorithm. And then also, if you could tell your friends and family to follow the show too, that helps. And I would really appreciate that. You guys have been great. And I couldn't have asked for a better audience. I couldn't ask for better listeners. You guys are amazing. And again, if you guys want me to read anything, you want to send me any information, if you got something you want me to see, or if you just want to shout out onto the show, just write something cool into the show's email. That's StephenTorrielloShow@gmail.com. And I'll read it on the show if it's something really cool. But anything other than that, you guys just send it to that email, and then I'll get back with you. So again, I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you for tuning in. I want you guys to have a good day. Have a great week. God bless you, and God bless America. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.